Subnautica 2 is set on an alien world, completely filled with water. And I'm just an idiot with thalassophobia. I have a terrible fear of the ocean. Unfortunately for people like me, this game takes your comfort zone and throws it right out the window. I have never been so scared playing a game before. I wake up on a strange ship and I'm immediately told that I'm going to be dead within 13 minutes because the pressure down here is so heavy. I meet this seemingly friendly robot
Your life is my job.
and find this strange looking orb that is called a gene donor. This thing's going to save me from the pressurized atmosphere.
Vital signs stabilizing. Congratulations. This orb is now your relative.
Upon entering the next room, I quickly realize I'm in absolute shambles. What the fuck was that? Despite every instinct telling me not to, I jumped into the water and find out something horrifying. I am currently stranded 583 meters down. I cross a massive crater to get to the opposite side of the wreckage, where I find a life pod. The last one, in fact. The friendly robot I just met tells me that I need to perform some maintenance on the clamps on the wreckage on the outside. Then he can help me get out of this crater. Things, however, do not exactly go to plan.
Does not recognize the sky.
I wake up on the life pod and make a pretty terrifying realization.
Titan class biosignature on the horizon.
The planet we aim to land on is not this one.
You are not on Caesura, Pioneer.
Jumping into the water, I wanted to get a feel for where we were.
Prolonged search will require food and water. From hand tools to corrosion-resistant habitats, titanium is an ideal structural material. This organism filters brine into drinkable fresh water.
I started out by exploring the nearby areas to see if I could pick up any useful materials, food or water.
This quartz contains dead coral polyps.
Along with that, I managed to find a waterproof locker, which will be useful for early game inventory management. I fill up my locker and then the rest of my inventory and go back up to my life pod. Starting out, my main goal was just to get the basic tools, such as an O2 tank and a multi-purpose tool. I was a bit sluggish in the water, so these basic fins would be helpful as well. I crafted my multi-purpose tool along with some water to keep me hydrated, and headed back out to see if I could find any more materials that would be useful for crafting. After grabbing these strange looking brain fungus things, it allows me to craft a battery, which then allows me to craft a scanner. And we get this cool little Subnautica 1 reference.
Stranded on 4546B, Riley Robinson used a field scanner to outwit teleporting alien cyborgs and treat his Kara infection. Behavioral economists still debate why Riley abandoned a lucrative motivational speaking career to return to frontier life.
It really reminds you that everything that happens in these games is all tied together. Everything that happened in the first game needs to be remembered and taken into account when we're exploring this new planet. Using my fancy new scanner, I went around the surrounding areas and scanned the plant life and some of the animals. I then came across this wreckage, which had my first voice log in it.
The rules are simple. Keep the perimeter sensors on alarm, no matter how many false positives you get, and do not go out alone. They are hunting us. We don't know why. Someone made a mistake a long time ago, and we have to live with it. The damn thing is, maybe it was one of us. Maybe they see us and say, look, it's that soft criminal, back from the dead again. Let's get the freak. And we don't even remember what we did.
While crafting up some of my new tools, with the rubber and fibre I'd just found, I'm told that friendly robot has a message for us.
The Noetic advisor has transmitted an alert. Return to the life pod at your convenience.
I printed 26 colonists before the sleep bay drowned, many of them more than once. This is my purpose: to reincarnate you from digital storage, support your work, and if necessary, reverse your death. I am already searching for the black boxes of the missing colonists. Stand by for search locations. Downloading colony manifests to your PDA. I'm monitoring noxiously elevated viral loads in the seawater. Heavy metal assays detect bone-blistering levels of cadmium, lead, and chromium. This planet is already killing you. We have to know if the life pod...
He essentially told me to unalive myself.
Find a convenient way to die. Your black box will phase your mind to the biobed. I'll print you in a new body. Regular reprinting may help slow down environmental contamination. It's not a long-term solution, but for now, we have to triage.
So I politely declined.
I understand. This isn't Caesura. I thought you should discover that for yourself, investigator.
In contrast to the bright colours and the light-hearted resource collecting, he reminds me of something quite chilling.
My fellow Noah nodes, working together to break ground for those who still sleep. Instead, silence. Not even the cicada answers. We are...
To add salt to the wound, I then essentially experienced stomach failure.
Expected Caesuran proteins. Found unknown alien tissue.
The human body is not compatible with the food sources on this planet. With a new primary goal, I headed back out, and I wanted to find a sustainable food source on this planet. I managed to find a nearby wreckage with some very useful blueprints in them.
The main habitat.
Under this wrecked building, there was another little secret. I found one of the blueprints for the habitat builder, which is one of the most important blueprints, especially in the early game of Subnautica 2. I scanned the outside of the wreckage again and found the second part of the habitat builder.
Building a processor and a power supply will unlock new fabricator recipes. But the added mass would sink your life pod. A standalone habitat is the next step on your mission.
Before returning to my life pod, I wanted to search some of the other areas. I topped up on some materials and found some more blueprints.
Alien organisms may have their own interpretation of your light. From threat display to attempted seduction.
Upon returning, the friendly robot gave me another message. He had located the black box of one of the previous survivors that were on this planet. These black boxes are very important. They're essentially death messages from previous survivors that would give very important info, progress the story, and give me some sort of checkpoint in a way for progress. This one solved my very immediate problem. As we just discovered, the alien life forms on this planet weren't compatible with my stomach, but this all changed when I went over to this black box. The surrounding area had some relatively dangerous fauna, but I made an effort to steer clear of them, and got what I really came here for.
Detects molecules matching the organism from the sleep bay.
I can hear you. Sophie says you're a hallucination, just a virus, but I know you're listening. We're so hungry.
This quote-unquote gene donor was an angel comb. These are scattered around the map, and are usually surrounded by fairly dangerous animals. We'll come to them when we get to them, but for now, just know that they're very important.
You may now digest freely. This life form is a biological antenna. It archives useful genetic material in its core as it matures, making it a perfect gene donor.
Moving away from that, I wanted to have another look around the surrounding area. I managed to find some more blueprints, and one included one of the most important ones for the early game. This was the Wake Maker. It's essentially a replacement for the Sea Glide from the first game. This would make early game exploration a hell of a lot easier. Progress was fairly slow after this, and I still didn't have my hands on an O2 tank. I was still running on 45 seconds of oxygen. This made things very difficult when I wanted to go any deeper than about 30 meters. My primary goal was to find some silver so I could make that O2 tank. While down in the caves, I found a leftover base. It had some useful blueprints like the repair tool and the biobed. And then finally, after literally hours of searching, I got my hands on some silver. When I was making my way back to my life pod, I had my first encounter with one of the real dangers in this game.
Abandoned colony structure partially disassembled.
This is a marrow breach. It's essentially a giant shark, but it is not friendly, not in the slightest. While I did want to explore this area, I thought it was a little bit too dangerous without any more gear. The marrow breach was making it hard to manage my oxygen. I would come back to this point at some point in the future. When I got back to my base, I was finally able to craft the O2 tank. This is also when the friendly robot told me that he'd found another black box.
Head of computational dynamics.
The black box was located a little ways away from my base. It was in an area that I hadn't been into before, but with my O2 tank I felt a little bit more comfortable. Down here I met the coral crabs for the first time, and at this point I didn't know if they were dangerous or not. I just steered clear of them for now. Down in this little cave entrance, I found another underwater base. It had a handful of blueprints that I didn't have my hands on yet. I scanned them, left the base, and looked around the surrounding area to see if there are any materials that I didn't have yet. I managed to find some sulfur, which is something I definitely hadn't had my hands on yet, but not much else of note. I returned to my life pod, and then I ran into my first roadblock. The life pod's fabricator is a little bit damaged. You can't actually craft anything that's super advanced in here, so you know what that means. It's time to build a base. With some of the spare titanium that I had, I started construction on my habitat. It was very basic for now, but it would serve its purpose. The main goal now was to advance this, so I could start making the more complex things later on. With the basics out of the way, I finally had my hands on a fully functioning fabricator. I made sure the base had sufficient power with some solar panels. It caused some problems at night, but we'd have to fix that later. And from some previously gathered resources, I crafted my first Wake Maker.
The Space Maker EVA thruster pistol system.
This would make exploring a hell of a lot easier. I was much faster in the water now, and I could explore a lot more efficiently. With my new Wake Maker, I thought it would be time to finally explore some of the areas that were a little bit too difficult to explore beforehand. I found this old wreckage that, according to some of the voice logs, belonged to 26 survivors.
30 seconds.
This one building alone held so many blueprints that I had a solid plan for what I needed to do next. At the very end of this wreckage, I found another Noah node. He gave me a little bit of a backstory on what was happening before I came along. I also learned something that made me second guess the amount of trust I was putting into these Noah nodes. Maybe the friendly robot wasn't actually that friendly.
Noah's cephalopod-inspired architecture uses a central administrator to govern limb nodes at remote work sites. As a frozen AI, Noah is unable to revise its architecture at runtime, reliably controllable by less intelligent systems such as human operators, except under extreme situations. Cephalopod-inspired? An insult to octopodes. It won't let you die, not its precious workforce. If you become uncontrollable, it'll wipe your memories and start over. No anger, no resentment. A nice, clean you. Change? Why would it want to change? The damn thing is in heaven.
I left the area and went over to that marrow breach that we saw earlier. I got a little bit roughed up, but I did manage to get a scan off. I took a peep at the databank entry, and yep, this thing is essentially just a giant shark. I returned to my base, stored away some of my gathered resources, and then continued to work on expanding my base. I constructed 2 key additions to the base, which were the biolab and the processor. I picked up a passive effect, which would make me swim faster along the seafloor, and an active effect, which was like a short dash. This came in a hell of a lot more useful than you'd think. I went out hunting for some more fragments for some blueprints, and I came along my first tadpole blueprint. I also found a power transmitter blueprint and a power cell terminal blueprint. Very close to this, I also found the hydroelectric turbine and the final part for the bioreactor that I needed. A bit further along, I found a second blueprint for the tadpole, before returning to my life pod and listening to another NOAA message.
A young, able spacer. Partial voice data retrieved.
Mirror breach got me. Should have brought flares. Stupid.
Heading down towards the black box, I ran into yet another roadblock. This strange looking plant is part of a virus called Bloom. To clear this, I needed the sonic repulsor, and for that I needed titanium ingots, which by this point I had absolutely no idea how to get. Noah gave me another black box message. I went down to the area, and all that I really found down there was this very angry marrow breach. Quite an embarrassingly large amount of time passed before I realized that I had access to the titanium ingots right in my base. I just needed to use my processor. I used 2 titanium ingots and 2 copper ingots to craft my first bioreactor. I was having a lot of problems with energy, and this would at least temporarily solve it. I filled up my bioreactor with some of the wildlife, and then after some light resource gathering, I was able to craft my sonic repulsor. I headed straight back down to that first black box, which was blocked off by the bloom, and voila, I had my way in. Although I didn't know it at this time, I was supposed to be clearing out the rest of the bloom. I just ran in and grabbed the black box for now. When I returned to my base, I was finally able to start making progress on the tadpole. I needed these strange necrolized cyst items, and I thought that I would get them down in this bloom area. While the item wasn't here, I indirectly progressed something that I didn't even know I had to. These bloom clankers needed to be cleared so I could get to a nearby angel cone.
Juvenile angel cone is clearing the viral infection. The flow of nutrients into the rock bore below has stopped.
I found that angel comb, and it had a very angry marrow breach in it once again. I was very confused on what I was supposed to be doing down here, and took way too long to figure it out and ended up drowning.
Print lost to suffocation.
I searched for a bit longer, and found another area surrounded by these bloom cankers. I cleared them out, and then I could finally return to the main angel comb.
Return to the main viral bloom to assess its state.
The marrow breach had been infected by the bloom and looked even creepier. Avoiding it as best I can, I cleared out the surrounding bloom cankers and interacted with the angel cone. I was then given a message that I could survive higher heat levels within the water. I'd seen the heat zone before, but not even bothered to try and go towards it. I was admittedly a little bit too scared. But I didn't know it yet, but this unlocked a massive area in the game. Suspecting that I was in for something, I went back home and crafted up my tadpole. I was also sure to craft the tadpole dock so I didn't have to worry about power. Then it was off to the tadpole pens. This area is significantly more dangerous than anywhere I've been before. It wasn't too bad to start off with, and I even gathered some resources, but then if you've played Subnautica before, you know when stuff like this happens, shit is about to hit the fan. I cautiously approached the wreckage. I managed to find some useful blueprints inside, but most notably the scout ray chassis.
A marrow breach took Ruby.
I tried getting past this door, which I needed a passcode for, and then swore that I could hear some things.
30 seconds.
I left the wreckage to look around.
Attention, and St. Bates gonna ooh to all lovers.
And then got completely messed up by an alpha marrow breach. I got way too spooked and wanted to dip straight away. On my way out, I found another marrow breach. Tried to steer clear of it, and eventually found my way back home. Upon returning, the Noah bot had another message for me, and sent me the location of yet another black box. I was warned multiple times that down here was very dangerous, but once I got down here it wasn't actually so bad. I listened to some of the voice logs, and what it sounds like is one of the workers down here ended up going insane. I don't know why yet, but I'm assuming it's because of one of the viruses.
This is the place. We should live down here. I'll convince you all.
They lost someone down here. Her name was Zip. She became irreversibly contaminated.
Yeah, we'll come back.
Hima's wrong. We can flourish here. We just have to help.
At some point down here, I also managed to get my hands on that key code that I needed for that locked door. I returned to that main wreckage and found out just how close I was to danger. Oh my god. No. Oh shit. Oh!